For the second year in a row, the Memorial Cup has been canceled. We are joined by our junior hockey analyst, Sam Cosentino. Sam, it's been such a rough ride for junior hockey in this country. I don't think anybody will be overly surprised that the Memorial Cup is canceled once again, but give us some insight as to why the announcement is coming now.
Well, this year's Cup was supposed to be played in Ontario, either in Oshawa or in Sault Ste. Marie. And so those were the two finalists that were bidding for this. They never got to a point where they decided which city would be the host team. And that was due in large part because the Ontario Hockey League season has yet to start and may very well be in peril for any start date at all. And if you go back here about a week or so ago, Jesse, there was plans, I believe, for the announcement of the start of an Ontario Hockey League season, but that happened to coincide with Ontario's original shutdown once again. And then when the shutdown became a little bit more serious, any plans of at least an announcement or the start of a season to be announced were put to bed. So now you're looking at a Memorial Cup that typically pits the champion from the Quebec League, the Western Hockey League, and the Ontario Hockey League, plus a host, which also would have been Ontario-based, yet the only league that has yet to start a season. So I think now the timing was why we waited till we got this far along in the season to have that. I think the expectation that Ontario was going to get started. What would this season have looked like before making that decision, but with no start date on the horizon? I think now was the time to do it.
Well, I think you said it perfectly there. It's a tournament of champions. And if you don't have a champion from all three leagues, the Memorial Cup doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But what about the seasons in general across the country? You mentioned Ontario, still not off the ground yet. Quebec and the Western Hockey League have had a little bit more success, but are they going to finish their seasons, do you think?
Yeah, well, we'll start out east, and they've gone in fits and spurts, and they've been the recipients of some amazing government support, especially in Quebec. They've been able to play what is going to look like close to a 50-game season. So at that point, Gilles Courteau, the commissioner of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, made a pretty strong stance and said, hey, we're going to play for a league championship that we don't necessarily feel we have to put an asterisk beside once the champion has been determined. When you look at the way in which they are going to get there, it's going to look a lot different, in terms of a modified playoff format, as little movement as possible, yet still being able to come to an eventual champion. So they feel really strongly about what they've been able to put together, despite having a couple of stops, playing in protected environments, a couple of stops out in the Maritimes. But for the most part, it looks like they're going to get close to a 50-game season. So I think at that point, a season is viable, and it looks like you can crown a true champion. When it comes to the Western Hockey League, 24-game schedules for each of the division, I think you're going to safely be able to crown a division champ. What a playoff looks like beyond that is going to be a little bit challenging. So definitely not traditional at all, but based on the number of games, the Western Hockey League has taken a little bit of a different approach to this season. They're playing their 04s and their 05s to a level that they've never really played before in terms of playing their youth. And so they're really looking at this more as a developmental year and for what the future might hold for those 04, 05 players. And of course, some of the 03s that are draft eligible this year.
Now, Sam, you're also our NHL draft analyst. This must have been a nightmare year to scout kids, especially in the OHL where they're not playing at all. How do you approach this season as the draft analyst, and how bad has this year hurt players?
Yeah, it's been really challenging. And so for the OHL players, at times when they were allowed to do so, there were some private skates and some agents were able to hold skates, which people were able to attend and were invited to. And so that was kind of their sense of being able to see players. And honestly, it's a situation where you might look at a guy and you might walk into the rink and he's grown, he's gained weight, he skates better, and you're not obviously going to be able to see him in game situation, but you can draw something from those skates. Next, you have the under 18s, which is going to be played here at the end of April. Ontario Hockey League and Western Hockey League players will make up those teams. It's been announced. And so they hope to be able to play as many as 7, maybe 8 games there. So in front of scouts, I know all the scouts that I've talked to will be attending that event. So that will give them a pretty good sense and some very good recent viewings on players from around the world. In terms of what that looks like for the dub, yeah, you're going to be able to see games. Excuse me. Yeah, you're going to be able to see games, and they have done that. And in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, you've been able to pretty much see a full schedule. So those players, and this is a pretty good year out there for the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Those players have benefited the most out of all three of the CHL leagues.
Well, I guess we can just hope for a grand return of the Memorial Cup next year, and we can do it right in a city, and the kids can really get the benefit from it. Sam Cosentino, thanks for your insight as always.
Thanks so much, Jesse.